You're watching Fugitive Redeye, and welcome to another episode of Redeye Raw. In this one, I thought I'd talk about reading and writing. I know it's a weird one to do a video on, but hey, that's what I'm doing. So something I do in my spare time is I do write a little bit here and there, right? Like I'm writing some fiction stuff. I've never had anything published or anything. I'd love to one day, but that's all just a hobby right now. It's just something I do on the side. But that's always fun. I also have periodically throughout my life kept journals of my thoughts and stuff like that. Those have always been a disorganized mess that have been fun, but again, nothing professional there. As far as reading, I do read a lot of manga, right? But the thing is, I've always read it at different paces, right? Like manga, I typically breeze through. There's a couple of things that I sometimes take my time with. If I can own a manga physically, I prefer to do that because I like to, read it physically and hold it. I find that so much better than reading it digitally on a phone. I've done both because, sometimes that's the only option. But I do prefer to own it physically. That said, manga I can typically rip through pretty quick. Sometimes I'll read a chapter here and there and then not read a lot for a while. But manga I'm a lot more consistent with than actual books, right? Books, I tend to either read really quickly or take a long-ass time to do it. I'm technically currently reading 3 books, maybe even 4. I can't honestly remember. I'm reading Stephen King's It. I'm about 300 pages into it. If you don't know, that book's like 1,500 fucking pages or something like that. I'm reading The Anarchist Handbook by Michael Malice. I just started that. I'm like 20 pages in. I'm reading Beat Takeshi vs. Takeshi Kitano, which will be an episode of Takeshi Tuesdays. I started reading that like a year ago, and I've read about half of it. I was reading a lot of it for a while, but I haven't actually opened it for a while. But I do plan to go back to it and finish it for Takeshi Tuesdays, obviously. But the strange thing is, my pacing for books is always really inconsistent. Like, sometimes I'll read like that. Other times, it'll take me a long-ass time, right? I can't decide. But I do read pretty extensively sometimes. Other times, not so much. Like, I like to read, but it's obviously not my biggest hobby. As far as audiobooks, I listen to things on Audible from time to time, because Kyler had an Audible. He doesn't anymore, but we both bought some stuff on there that I would listen to. Other than that, I do have some audio CDs of books. I think right now the only one I've actually listened to on an audio CD was The New Right, which I did a review on forever ago by Michael Malice. And then I also listened to Dear Reader by Michael Malice through Audible in that case. I've listened to most of the book of Battle Royale on Audible, but I've never finished it. I've only listened to a little bit of it, right? But I'm working on it. I do plan to read more of it. But other than that, that's just kind of it. This is kind of a weird episode. I don't know if anyone's really fucking interested in it. But there it is. I've read, I prefer fiction most of the time. I do read some nonfiction. But I don't read a whole hell of a lot compared to as much as I used to, especially. I have read, a lot of the old school Halo books. First Strike, The Fall of Reach, The Flood, and First Strike. As well as Contact Harvest, The New Blood, The Bad Blood. There's more. I'm sure that I've read more. I've listened to a good chunk of, what the fuck is it called? Ghosts of Onyx. I've listened to a lot of that on, Audible. Lost my place on it because I got a new phone. But yeah, that's reading and writing. I don't know how many people are really all that interested in it, but there it is. Toodles.
That sucked. I'm sure glad that's over with.
But you like to see how it feels, mommy? Here it comes, get ready to die!